ialah Yang Berhormat Madimanan daripada KAPA, Yang Berhormat Dr. Siti Maria dari kawasan Kota Raja dan Yang Berhormat Kamarudin daripada kawasan Kuala Terengganu. My statement is in English, so I will read my statement out in English. We'll have Q&A later. The 2017 National Blueprint for Malaysian Indians announced by PM Najib Tun Razak in October 2016 is proof that after 60 long years and 6 blueprint initiatives later, Malaysian Indians remain still marginalized, oppressed, discriminated and have suffered for generations under a failed MIC, a party to empower Indians. On March 14, in my royal address debate in the Dewan Rakyat, I had raised the question on the status of the National Blueprint for Indians announced by PM Najib in October 2016 that will be launched this January. And what are the agencies that will be undertaking, implementing and executing the initiatives? However, it is already the end of March and there has been no news of it at all. Last Thursday, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Economic Planning Unit and in charge of Indian Empowerment, Senator Deva Mani was in full form replying to this question. Senator Deva Mani refused to answer that question in the Dewan Rakyat, saying that the Prime Minister himself will be announcing this initiative, the blueprint, on 23rd April. After a shameful delay of 3 months in spelling out the government's efforts to assist and uplift needy Indian families. He did not outline the contents of the blueprint but went on to thump his chest in sharing made-up false achievements by MIC and BN for the Indian community in Malaysia. Deva Mani's statement is idiotic and insulting in the highest order. After 60 years since Malaysia's independence, the government is still crafting and planning and trying to execute a national blueprint to uplift the socio-economic status of the Indian community, who have made up between 7 to 10% of the national population and for over 6 decades. And they are still attempting to do so. So in other words, that after 60 years, Malaysian Indians still need a blueprint for economic empowerment. What a low-down, dirty shame. Perhaps Deva Mani and his MIC have conveniently forgotten that Indian voters are deemed kingmakers in 24 parliamentary and 74 state assembly constituencies in Peninsular Malaysia. Voters from the Indian community constitute more than 15% of the electorate in those seats. In other words, it is this 15% of Indian voters decides who wins or who loses, and they are only remembered when elections are near. In his speech, Deva Mani claimed that the socio-economic empowerment for the Indian community by the BN government is an ongoing effort concurrently working to ensure that all ethnicities move together towards achieving a developed nation. According to him, the first initiative in 1974 to uplift the Indian community stemmed from the Blue Book by the late Datuk Padmanabhan. Following that, in 1980, acting MIC President Datuk Sri Samirelu framed the Blueprint Malaysian Indian. A drought befell Malaysian Indians during Dr. Mahathir's tenure as PM from 81 to 2003. In 2006 and 2008, in the 10th Malaysian Plan, once again the MIC blueprint was launched. When Najib Tun Razak was Deputy Prime Minister, he chaired a committee called the Cabinet Committee for Indian Community, CCIC. From 2010 to 2012, a Plan Tindakan dan Implementasi Kerangka Pembangunan was created specifically for the Indian community. And now, Najib Tun Razak, as Prime Minister, announced in October last year that a national blueprint for Indians will be launched in January and now will finally be announced on 23rd April 2017, hopefully. Penang Institute's finding in a study in 2015 showed the proportion of Indians in decision-making and managerial positions is comparatively low. Most of the community's workforce remains entrenched in elementary occupations, with low skills and low pay, especially in the technical and service sectors. Social mobility appears stunted and with little prospect for advancement. The situation clearly needs to be addressed. What Deva Mani must understand is that the long-standing issues faced by Indians in Malaysia is not an Indian problem alone. Deva Mani, the MIC and Barisan Nasional must bear the brunt of neglecting their failures in uplifting the Indian community and all marginalized communities as a whole, as they've been excluded in enjoying the fruits of economic advancement. Indians are no longer merely labourers who toil at estates and build roads, or government clerks or cleaners and sole proprietor lawyers. Like any other Malaysian, Indians deserve a dignified place in the larger Malaysian story, and that can never be tasted under MIC and BN. The 2017 National Blueprint for Malaysian Indians announced by PM Najib in October is proof that after 60 long years and 6 blueprint initiatives later, at least 6 blueprint initiatives, Malaysian Indians still remain marginalized, oppressed, discriminated, and have suffered for generations under a failed MIC, a party that is supposed to power Malaysian Indians. Thank you. Any questions?
Dah.
Doctor, you want to add something?